So, moving on here to solving linear equations 4. So again, just increasing that complexity a little bit every time. We're nearly there, by the way. I think there's only one more. Okay, so we're being asked to solve, which means we have to isolate the letter. We know that. You will notice that there is more than one of the letter, which means we have to do our little gather, simplify, isolate, which we were doing the other day. But you'll also know that note that there's more than one constant. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff to kind of be, we refer to it as tidying up. Okay, I don't know that it's a technical term, but it's like, it's properly used in the world of mathematics to tidy up an equation. So by tidying up would be this process here. So you gather your like terms, you simplify your like terms, and then you go about doing your isolation and trying to get that letter on its own. Okay? Right, so let's have a look at it. So it's 6x plus 1 equals 4x plus 7. Okay, so I'm going to put in my line. Okay, and I'm going to separate up my left-hand side and my right-hand side. Okay, now like I always say, it doesn't actually matter where you gather. Okay, you just have to decide. So I'm going to decide to gather my x's over here, and then over here will be where my constants go. Okay, again, it doesn't matter which side you decide. That's just what I'm going to go with. Okay, so on the x's side, I'm trying to use a bit of colour here. On the x's side, I should have the 6x and I should have the 4x. Okay, so this is right because it's on its correct side. This is not. This needs to be moved. This needs to be gotten rid of. Now, we know how to get rid of it. If we have now decided that that needs to be moved, or it needs to be gotten rid of from the right-hand side, because that's not the correct side, it's supposed to be over here with the other x. How do I get rid of it? I get rid of it by using the inverse operation. So at the moment, this is a plus 4x, so the inverse operation is a minus 4x, and that will get rid of it. If I have to minus 4x on the right-hand side, I go over to the far side of the equals, and I balance it by minusing 4x on the left-hand side. Okay? So now let's tidy up a little and see where we're at. So I have 6 minus 4 from my x's, which is 2x. I have plus 1, my equals, splitting up. This is all gone. So all I have left on the right-hand side is 7. Okay, now let's go back and have a look at what's supposed to be where. So on my x's side, I should have x. This is not an x. This is not an x. So I'm actually good. My x is on the correct side. Now, on the other side, the constants. What I've decided, I'm going to put the constants on the right-hand side. So here's a constant, and here's another constant. Okay, so this is where it's supposed to be. This is not. So it shouldn't be there. I need to get rid of it. I know how to get rid of it. I perform the inverse operation. So this is a plus 1. The inverse operation would be a minus 1, and that will get rid of it. But if I minus 1 on my left-hand side, I have to minus 1 over here on my right-hand side. So now over here, I have 2x because the 1's are gone, my equals. And here I have 7 minus 1, which is 6. Okay, so now I have tidied it up. I gathered my x's, my letters, to one side and I simplified. I gathered my constants to the other side and I simplified. So I have gathered and simplified. I just had to do it on the double. I had to do it for the letters and I had to do it for the constants. Okay, but it's fine. You just do one at a time. I pretty much always start with the letters. Um, Again, there's no reason to. That's just what I do. So I decided I wanted to put my letters over here on the left. I acknowledged that the 6x was where it was supposed to be, so great, gave it a tick. This 4x was not on the left, it was on the right. So I had to get rid of it, but we know how to get rid of it. We performed the inverse operation, that took it out, but remembering that if you have to perform an inverse operation, you must balance it on the other side. I then simplified by doing 6 minus 4, which gave me 2. Then I had 2x plus 1 equals 7. So I should have x's on this side, constants on this side. I had an x on this side, but I also had a constant, which wasn't supposed to be there. So I acknowledged that with my x. The fact that it wasn't supposed to be there meant I needed to get rid of it. I performed an inverse operation to get rid of it, and I balanced that by performing the same inverse operation on the other side. And I simplified. 7 minus 1 is 6. So now I'm at the isolation stage. Here is my x, which I want to isolate, and at the moment it is being multiplied by 2. So to get rid of that 2, I performed the inverse operation, which is to divide by 2. That will take that out. But if I have to divide by 2 here, I must balance that by performing the same operation on the other side, dividing by 2. So now my x is isolated, which was the goal of all this. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Alright? So, I mean, that's tough. There's a lot in that. Play it back a couple of times. Make sure you understand why I did what I did at each step. And again, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines to my answer, not counting my inverse operations. So you could argue 6 or 7 lines. You know, that is going to take you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It should take you about 7 or 8 lines to do. Okay, it shouldn't be done in one line. You need to show me all this work. Use as much colour as you can. You know, clearly from the way I teach, I find colour helpful. Maybe you don't. But try and please do it as I'm teaching it to you. There's a reason for it. Alright, so I'm going to give you a couple of questions on that. They won't be due until after Easter. It's only, I think it's 4 questions. And they won't be due until the Monday after Easter. Let me know how you're doing. Obviously, we've done quite a bit now since I've last seen you. Most of you are doing really, really well when I check your work. Most of it's really good, and the mistakes are like tiny. They're the kind of mistakes that when you look at the solution, you'd be like, ugh, can't believe I did that. Which are, they're the kind of, if I was going to make mistakes, they're the kind of mistakes I want to make. But I suppose just if there is anything that you feel you want to ask me directly and stuff like that, like we could set up a Teams meeting for one of the days over the break. You should all have a lot less work. I'll obviously have a lot less work. So if there is anything, maybe just pop me an email or something, and if there's enough interest for it, we can do a Teams meeting, just so you can throw questions at me and actually have me answer them directly. But like I said, for the most part, everybody's doing really, really well with this. So fair play to you, because you are working really hard. Okay, so enjoy the break, I suppose. Stay in. Social distance and all that. Alright, talk to you soon.